Tonight on 7 Minutes, we delve into the epic poem The Odyssey with special guest Homer. The Odyssey is an epic poem about a man named Odysseus and his epic 10-year journey home. The journey of Odysseus from Troy to Ithaca takes 10 years, the same amount of time that the Trojan War itself lasted. So in total, it takes him 20 years to get home. The extraordinary length of Odysseus' return trip, which should have taken a matter of weeks, is due to his many antagonists, including the god Poseidon, the many mythical creatures he encounters, and Odysseus' often greedy and lazy crewmen. Meanwhile, Odysseus' wife, Penelope, tries to fend off over 100 suitors who have invaded the royal palace, seeking her hand in marriage and a chance of ruling Ithaca and indulging in great amounts of food and wine at the host's expense. Odysseus' son Telemachus is encouraged by the god Athena to continue to look for Odysseus. After the gods finally let Odysseus off of Calypso's island, he makes his way home and assumes a fake identity when he reaches Ithaca. Him and his son finally see each other after years and join together to fight off the suitors with the help of Athena and 2 other loyal servants. They successfully kill all of the suitors, and Odysseus unites with Penelope and returns to his rightful place in the palace.
Welcome back to 7 Minutes. I'm your host, Jacob Gishani, and today we are joined with the amazingly talented Homer. Homer is here to shed light on his book, The Odyssey. The Odyssey has many layers that we want Homer to uncover for us, so without further ado, welcome Homer.
Thank you, Jacob, for having me today. It's an honor. Do you have any questions for me?
Let's start with going over a few parts of the hero's journey.
Well, there are several parts that I love, but in order to keep it short, I'll talk about 3. First, I want to talk about supernatural aid. Athena, the goddess of war, helps Odysseus, and especially his son Telemachus, throughout the entire poem. For example, during one of the last scenes, Odysseus and Telemachus fight off the suitors, and whenever they face a problem, Athena busts in and helps. She also, at the beginning of the poem, she encourages Telemachus to go after his father. The crossing of the first threshold is another part of the poem. After the Trojan War, Zeus punishes the Greeks for their prideful ways because the Greeks don't thank the gods for winning the war. That night, they reach an island. That night, Zeus completely brings hell onto the seas and has many lightning strikes and everything. And so Athena guides them to the island of the Cyclops, and the next morning they meet Polyphemus, a Cyclops. He kills and eats several of Odysseus' men, so Odysseus devises a plan to stab him in the eye. Little does he know that Polyphemus is Poseidon's son. Another part of the hero's journey is Odysseus' descent into darkness. Before Odysseus finds his way home, he's told to go to the underworld to seek a fortune teller named Tiresias. Tiresias tells Odysseus how to find his way home and what rules to abide and how to find his way. In order for him to find his way, he has to sink down to the lowest level in order to rise up. Any other questions?
Well, there are so many interesting characteristics in the poem. Why don't we go to some archetypes?
The archetypes. There are 3 main ones that I'd like to go over. The first would be the trickster, that is played by the role Penelope, who is Odysseus' wife. She has to deal with 108 suitors in her home, and they are all battling to get her hand in marriage. And for the first 3 years, she tricks them all by saying, I will marry you once I knit or weave a shroud for her brother-in-law, or not her brother-in-law, her father-in-law. And after that, she will marry them. So every night she would unweave the shroud, and do it all over again the next morning. So she had 3 years to do this. The next one I'd like to talk about is the mentor. An example of the archetype mentor would be Athena. When Telemachus loses all hope, she swoops in and tells him to man up and to look for his father and stand up to the suitors who have been constantly treating him and his mother with disrespect. She inspires Telemachus to not lose hope and helps him stay alive on his journey to find his father. Another archetype would be the shadow. Odysseus faces many adversaries, but Poseidon was the worst of them all. Poseidon has a vendetta against Odysseus because he stabs Polyphemus, his son, the Cyclops, in the eye. So Poseidon makes his journey from a 2-week journey to 10 years, from keeping him on an island with Calypso for most of it, and attempting to murder him several times. The other...
Yes, lastly, could you go deeper into some epic hero qualities Odysseus might have?
Odysseus is an amazing man, and he shows so many different strengths and weaknesses. However, the two most important, I believe, would be him succeeding in war and adventure, and his intelligence that he possesses. So, a few examples of this is when Odysseus returns home, him and Telemachus need to fight off all the suitors. And there's 108 suitors versus Telemachus, Odysseus, and 2 other servants. And Odysseus brutally demolishes through all of his enemies with no mercy, and doesn't even break a sweat because he's so cunning and able to fight. And that goes hand in hand with his intelligence, because during the Trojan War, he was also known as one of the most amazing heroes during that time. And another example would be when he was on the Cyclops Island, when when the Cyclops asked him what his name was, he said, "My name was Nobody." And so when he stabs the Cyclops in the eye, the Cyclops yells for help, saying, "Nobody stabbed me in the eye, nobody stabbed me in the eye." So he doesn't get help from anybody because they think that the Cyclops is just saying some random things. Any other questions?
Well, that's it for 7 minutes. We'd like to give a big thanks to Homer for coming in tonight. Good night.